everybody, welcome to our newest Coach's Corner. So this week we're going to continue with our third episode in the series of prepping for your first powerlifting competition. And today we're going to talk about choosing openers and attempts throughout the meet.
So to start it off, you got to have 3 attempts as your openers: your squat, your bench, and your deadlift. Probably want to go pretty conservative for your first time ever. I would say something you can easily hit a triple with in all 3 events on your worst day, essentially. If you've never tripled something for whatever reason, I would say probably go with about an 80 to an 85% of whatever your 1 rep max would be. If you are an experienced power lifter or an experienced lifter period, and you've been training for a while but you have not been competing, I would say roughly about 90 to 92% on any given day of whatever your 1 rep max would be.
So what if, let's say, you were having a really rough training cycle and maybe you had some aches and pains but you weren't injured? How would that change your attempts?
If you had a rough training cycle, I'd say probably just stick to the 80 to 85%. Your opener should essentially be like your last warm-up. So you're going to say, we'll say you're squatting in the back room and say your 1 rep max is 425, right? You don't want to open up with 425 because that's what you've only ever been able to get. You'd say roughly about 350. It's something nice and easy. It's 75 pounds below your max. You open up with 350 and then 350 flies and you feel amazing for 400. 400 flies, break your PR. You can always adjust it given the day of the competition. There's many different situations where you'll be feeling great and you'll go into the competition and you're just dragging in your warm-ups. At that point, be smart, call it. The name of the game is to be able to compete, but you also want to not bomb out. So don't pick a weight that you're not sure that you can do for your first or second attempts.
Okay, so then as you do your opener, let's say your opener goes great. Moving into your second attempt for squat, because each event you have 3 attempts, right?
Yep.
So moving into the second attempts, how would you look at that number?
So as a beginner, my second attempt for squats and deadlifts, I'm probably going to go about 20 to 30 pounds over what I last did. Or I'm going to try to break my PR by 5 pounds, meet or break the PR by 5 pounds. If you're an experienced lifter and you've competed multiple times, or if you've just trained a lot, I would say take your second attempt and try to hit a PR for it. Regardless of the fact, if it is your first meet ever, every attempt you hit is going to be a meet PR, which is pretty badass at the end of the day. For bench is going to be more likely to be 10 to 15 pound jumps. It all depends on what the name of the game is. If you've got a really good, strong bench and you know what you're doing, you can bump it up by 20 pounds. If you take a higher opener than what you're expecting, don't expect your second and third attempts to really be that big of a jump. Sometimes people only jump it by 5 to 7 pounds or whatever the kilo conversion would be.
So with that, you were saying like new lifters versus experienced lifters.
Yep.
Is that the same for like female versus male lifters too?
Nope, I would suggest the same thing for regardless of your sex. It's more about your experience. Your experience is going to dictate the kind of jumps you can make. When I first started, I took maybe 10 or 15 pound jumps between my attempts. Now I'm able to take anywhere from 50 to 60 pound jumps, depending upon what I set my openers as. An opener is usually a 90% lift as long as I'm feeling confident and comfortable in it. And if I'm not, then I adjust it in the back room.
So then what about third attempts? How would you take those into consideration?
So third attempts, you've got multiple different avenues of adjustments, right?
Yeah.
You've got the I want to win the competition. So you base your third attempt off of what'll help you win, beat everybody else. You've got the I want to hit my own PR or break a PR or break a record. So you're gonna have to take that last jump as to whatever it is. And third attempts for a new person or first competition, whatever that last attempt could be, if you think that you've got another good 10 or 15 pounds, go ahead and go for it if everything else just moves smoothly. If you're grinding on your second attempt, your third attempt is gonna be really tough.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll pass on those. In a competition, I'll take my first attempt for whatever it's going to be. My second attempt, I'm usually trying to meet or break that record if everything's feeling right. If everything's feeling right and I've broken it, I'm going to assess on how fast I moved, how well I moved, how everything felt. If it felt like trash and I felt like that was probably about the most I'm going to get within 5 or 10 pounds, I'm not going to take my third attempt for squat and bench because I want to save my energy for that deadlift. Because if I can put a good high total for my squat and my bench, then my deadlift, which is my deadlift, I'm going to really push it hard and just try to save that extra energy for it.
And that's one of the things you mentioned, that you weren't going to take your third attempt sometimes. It made me wonder, is that okay to not take third attempts?
Yeah. All you got to do in a powerlifting meet is hit your first attempt.
Oh,
And
okay.
then you don't bomb out. So as long as you hit your first attempts, you can do whatever you need to. Say you just need to qualify for a competition that's in the future, and you've had a really, really rough training schedule and you've just gotten all sorts of beat up. You know you can recover in plenty of time for that big competition that you have in the future, but this one you have to qualify for. Play it smart, get an opening total, and call it quits at that. That's hard to do, both for your ego and just for your overall general competitiveness, but some situations will call for it.
Well, that makes sense. I definitely have a better idea on choosing numbers for my attempts and the openers. Do you have anything else you think people need to know?
No, I think that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching again, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.